So how you doing? Nice to finally meet you.
You too. You too. I'm going to shut the door.
Okay.
Okay, so if you see the background.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's almost quitting time. And it's almost the weekend. So I've learned with after doing this with Sherry that I want to be clear that you understand that we are recording this call, and the plan is that this will become a video that I will post, and then I will also chop up into a bunch of different things. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
The whole point is we just shoot the shit and figure stuff out, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay,
how's your week gone? How's your week been going? How's August?
Going fast, and it's been going crazy. And I'm cautiously optimistic. And then I'm looking into 2021. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, 2020 is getting close to being done. And it's hard not to beat yourself up, like going, what am I doing? Am I doing the right things? And every month just keeps coming so quickly.
Yeah.
So, and it was right before this call, I was looking at, what we really accomplished in 2020, which is not enough. And then, how 2021 is going to start looking like, because we got to start preparing, so it's a little discouraging. I must say, I'm ready for my drink.
Oh yeah, exactly. So I want to try and not make this all doom and gloom, and yes, it is discouraging, and it's important to talk about that, because I think for the last few months, ever since this all started, once print was deemed sort of an essential service for most, they either pivoted and started creating face shields. So it's kind of like there wasn't a bit of an energy, and it was at least there's something we could be doing for the most part. And then it was, okay, we started talking about the recovery kits and the recovering packages and the floor graphics and everything that has sort of been feeding the industry, our industry, for the last couple of months. And to your point now, okay, we're 6 months into the year, and now we have to really look at the numbers. And the reality is we're not going to make the same numbers as we projected. And everybody across the board has to just reset and look at reality. But that being said, are you seeing any positive light? Are you seeing opportunities that either you didn't really see before, or that you have specifically sought out of necessity?
Well, I feel really fortunate. You try and put the positive spin on it. So, Xeikon's business is very fortunate. We're not a big manufacturer, like with a huge business. And also some of our business presence isn't in the office, which has shut down. So then, of course, the offices aren't printing. In that it's a two-part business. And part of that business with food and packaging and things like that has been running actually on a slight uptick. And of course, the difficult thing in this business is that, the people that are really busy are going like, well, how much longer am I going to be this busy? And then they struggle with manpower and all this other stuff. But so part of the business is quite healthy. And so we're very lucky that we've been able to continue operations with full staff intact as far as that goes. The part that is struggling a little bit, but because it's small, it has been in the direct mail and the traditional commercial print business, which is the other part of our business that we're very, very, that was very, very healthy up until about January, February. I mean, it was actually not necessarily reflective of the entire business, but Xeikon's business in graphic arts had been growing quite significantly for us anyways. 15, maybe 20% was very optimistic. the hit of COVID was almost like a double whammy, right? So you didn't get the growth that you were getting, but you also got the decline that you hadn't been expecting. So the food part of the business, though, continues to keep all things rolling, and then the annuity business is still going well. So I think that overall, there's a lot to be optimistic about. And what I try and stay optimistic about also in our business is that being not a huge player, we were never in a lot of the opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so by being intact, you just have to make sure that you're picking the right opportunities in the right areas to stay focused on. And that's really difficult to do in this environment where there's just like everybody's kind of going, oh, let's go here. What should I be doing?
Yep.
So a little bit of playing whack-a-mole, like a little, I'm going over that direction and then going over that direction,
Sure.
And I'm going to say, like, staying on the right topics, staying on the right focus, not getting too distracted, not getting overwhelmed, and not getting too kind of buried by issues that are new and have arisen. Kind of staying, I guess, a little bit on everything that needs to be. This is sort of the new everything for a while. And I think that being an optimistic person too, Joanne, it's funny how, I think most of us were thinking, oh, this is 2 or 3 months, 4 months at the worst, fourth quarter is going to, and then people I think are adjusting to, well, maybe a little bit longer, or maybe longer than we thought, or maybe the new changes that are coming about are permanent changes, and some of the positive and negatives are more permanent than we thought. So that's an evolution, I think, that I'm adjusting to, like when I'm starting to plan for 2021, right?
Yeah.
That some of the markets and the applications may be a little different. Maybe it's going to be an evolution. For instance, the part of our business that in the recovery, when we had the openings again, was going well, was of course the signage part of the business that Xeikon is in, and then the floor graphics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we do a lot of wall deco and wallpaper applications as well, which is great for imagery and branding. But now we might take that branding and imaging and put it on the floor now, because everybody is looking on
or on one of the wall dividers. I was talking about this with somebody else too. I mean, everything, the windows, the walls, and the floors are all now prime marketing and advertising real estate. So imagine putting messaging or seasonal messaging even on the floor graphics, sort of again, I was talking about somebody else, like that subconscious, while you're walking through the floor, talk about, don't forget to pick up breath mints, or all that stuff that you're going to see when you get to the cash, and now it's in your head, and now you see, and it's like, oh, I better get that. So all that subliminal messaging that you could actually post throughout an entire grocery store. Let's say you're in the frozen French fries aisle, and the floor graphics could say, don't forget to stock up on ketchup. Or do you have enough ketchup at home? Just, why not? Right? I mean, it's just embrace the opportunity we have now. And that's sort of where I'm seeing some of the conversations going, is where can we be that follows the patterns and the new habits that we are all now evolving towards, right? Everything from how we're taking vacations this summer, which is very different from how they've been in the past. What are those opportunities for now these more intimate family style, or maybe 2 families, lots of camping, trailers? Where's that opportunity for branding with neighboring or the whatever the city is near, wherever the residential area is, for restaurants and for entertainment and for shopping, to go to these people who are now going to be in their town. So, you know, that's where I'm seeing people trying to really think creatively.
Right.
So,
And that can be done for every industry, and everything we do. I mean, you know, some of it is, of course, the retail branding, but for education, it may be different, right? In terms of messaging that you could be putting up that reinforces the whole educational process. And
absolutely.
the Zoom, you know, meetings, and then the background that is a, you know, conducive to learning, or, you know, we knew that color helps learning. So,
Oh, for sure. I mean, let's embrace what we're stuck with and make it as good as we can make it. Push the envelope. Let's see how far we can take this, and make it do what we really, we have a chance to basically reinvent how we do business right now. We really do. So let's see what we can get at it. I've been reading articles of companies that are finally saying how they're going to encourage it's a work from home strategy, but they're not going to be measuring on output. They're going to be measuring on results. So it's not how many hours you work, it's what you get done. If you get your work done in 4 hours, good for you. Go to the beach, right? I mean, we should have been doing that all along, right? You want to motivate somebody, let them go home when they're done, as opposed to like watching the clock.
Right. Well, when they're working at home, there's less, you know, there's more freedom to do that. And then it also goes to speak to where you have to live. And you know, people don't have to necessarily live close to their office.
That's right.
That's changing things. And why I'm working up in Lake Tahoe, you know, I always felt very, very close to where I had to be, right?
Yeah.
Nobody can see me right now.
No, but I get it. I mean, you know, why my son is a graphic designer, right? So I'm like, you don't have to limit yourself to opportunities in the downtown core. If there's somebody hiring in San Francisco and they want a kick-ass, you know, packaging designer, go for it. You don't need to live in the same city anymore. And it's just such a whole different perspective, you know? So, but I'm curious, because I mean, I know you guys primarily from the trade show floor, right? I always love your booth. I'm sure I've got tins of your mints somewhere in my office, you know? How has that impacted you? The demise of events?
Yeah.
Grupa and everything else. How are you shifting that?
We shifted. We're fortunate, again, that we're small, and we shifted online pretty quickly, which was all new. And I mean, it's crazy because as a small company, we were, as relatively speaking, in the industry size for print, we had some new products coming out this year, and Drupal was supposed to be a big event for us. And so that didn't happen. And, you know, so how do you showcase a product that you've invested 4 years and R&D millions of dollars that you wanted to bring to worldwide audiences, right? So we pivoted quickly to online demonstrations, and then like Xeikon TV sort of, which has been helpful. It still doesn't I mean, I think that it's been great to have that, and it's been great that we pivoted and created that space to begin right away, right? To demonstrate the products through live webinars at our various places worldwide. And because we were limited to Chicago and Lear and Japan having these big, you know, Xeikon printing presses, the benefit of switching to the online is that I have customers or audiences in Los Angeles or, Florida or Texas that may have had difficulty, flying across the country always to see the product. So this has given them some of that experience. They've probably seen it in the shows at the Printing United and whatnot, but the access to seeing it in person has been more limited. With Xeikon and now having this web platform, having the video capability has been awesome, but it does not replace, I don't know what longer term is going to happen with trade shows.
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah. And there was such a great, opportunity to learn, not only have customers learn about our product, but to go and find out what else is going on, right? For all the vendors, take a look at what else is, some of the finishing partners had, the software partners had, see what your competition was putting out to kind of know where you are.
Sure.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, we're turning to virtual events and virtual trade shows, but it's not the same. I mean, again, it's as close as we can get right now. But again, it cannot even be the same format. I mean, people are not going to take 3 solid days out of their week to sit in front of their monitor the way they would if it's just not going to happen. And anybody thinks that, and it doesn't matter how great you could have I don't want to get into politics. You can have every Kardashian every day. That's pretty safe, right? And still, but I don't think you would get people sitting there for 8 hours. I don't think so. So
right
now they're saying, okay, well, let's space it out over 4 weeks and maybe do Tuesday and Thursday morning one week, Tuesday afternoon, Thursday afternoon the next week. And eventually it sort of becomes, okay, every Tuesday I'm going to block off a couple of hours, the same way we do now for Zoom conferences or whatever other webinars. But it has a synergy, it has a pattern. And that seems to be where it's going. I see it as a good opportunity for vendors because that gives you much more sponsorship opportunities, because whatever day is being featured, you could potentially host for that day or be the featured sponsor, right? There could be more of a spotlight shown on you versus a sea of everybody crammed into 3 days or crammed into one big virtual event. So that's what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing also opportunities to supplement these virtual events with really cool swag bags. I mean, all the money that you're saving from not traveling, not going, there's no way you cannot tell me that you cannot send a kick-ass something to every visitor or everybody who's registered or subscribed or whatever. Why wouldn't you? Like the Oscars, right? People pay like the products in there that's what they go there for, are the swag bags. So we may have to do that, right? Sign up for the virtual event to get the swag, or get some of the swag now, get some of the swag after, just to make sure they come, right?
Yeah,
like and Willy Wonka.
And the cool thing is, in the swag bags is really the heart of what we do a lot of times, right? It's the packaging, the labels, the personalization of what the print industry puts out, and it can be on anything. So promotional products, it can go on a mouse, on your stickers, and
anything.
I think that the transition, though, has taught me, because the industry was much more one of relationships and face-to-face and things, is it taught me, gosh, I'm a terrible listener. So like, even
high five.
Half the time I'm like zoning out. So I have to like go, this is important. Gotta listen, pay attention, right? And so it's on me to be a better audience for content that I want to hear. And then I think that ultimately there's going to be, because this isn't what we do, more of an opportunity to work with people like you, Joanne, and people that I've interacted with in some of these Zoom calls, because you develop not only the expertise but work on the customer engagement portion, right?
Yeah.
And more of them, because I think that there are more opportunities to reach out to customers the way we did, because now, like you said, we can videotape it, cut it down to bite-sized pieces to reuse it in different ways. And those are the kinds of things actually that we are looking at, Joanne. So, we pivoted online, but how to make that pivot more effective.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's here to stay, with the goodie bags, that in the goodie bags are not just mints, maybe chocolate-filled chocolates, but personalized into packaging, where people can get ideas.
Show off what you do best. Yeah. Now imagine if you created a replica of your press and there was a QR code on it. And that replica, when they scan the QR code, which now everybody's, because it's suddenly all the rage now is QR codes, right? You scan the QR code, now it takes you to an actual virtual or augmented reality tour of this press that you're holding in your hand, but like to scale, or a Lego version of it or something. But that's what I mean. Be beyond what we normally do. We have to transition. So that's the first thing that came to my mind, right? Is how do you, because if you were an envelope manufacturer, I would say showcase the most intricate, convoluted web envelope you can, right? How can you put a press in a bag? Well, by putting a press in a bag. Wouldn't it be cool if it was like, I mean, it would be awesome if it could actually be a working, functioning, like 1/10 scaled version of the press, where you could actually see it moving and then you have it live. Like, how cool would that be? I have no clue what would be involved. I'm sure you can get something 3D printed. You need an engineer, which I'm sure you have no shortage of on your staff, right? There's got to be a way, right? But imagine that. How can't be that convoluted to create. And you've got more than one press, so you could actually do. Then you can sell them to people. They could be special edition. You could have gold versions, silver versions.
No, that's a great thought. And do you think, I mean, I think that right now we're still budgeting and planning to attend, a lot of the shows in 2021, Coupa, the Label Expo. And so that means that some of the, the big bulk of our marketing investments will be traditional. But yet maybe it won't draw the same amount of audience, like worldwide, maybe more regional next year. And in that case, I think to have the similar type of reach, we need to continue to have more effective online communications with customers. We can't. It's not a either or. No. I think the future is really both.
It's everything. The future of communications is being everywhere on all platforms, and the most important aspect is knowing where your audience is and when they're there, right? I mean, LinkedIn is a classic, perfect example, and it's actually a good segue to where I wanted to go next anyways. But pre-COVID, think about what LinkedIn was like before the pandemic. What you saw on your feed, the type of engagement, the type of calls to action. And now very fast forward, what are we, I don't even know what month we're in now, April, May, June, July, August, month 5, right? It's almost next week, it'll be 5 months. Think of what your feed looks like now. And it's not the same. It's everything has changed. I don't think it will go back to the way it was. My point being, you can't, I was always like, when's the optimal time to post on LinkedIn? When's the optimal time to, can't say that anymore. Nobody knows because we're at home. So 10 o'clock at night, I'm really engaging on LinkedIn. 10 o'clock Eastern, which is late. It used to be like 7 p.m. was pretty much the cutoff because people took their work hat off and then they came home. So they went from LinkedIn to Facebook, for example, or Instagram or Twitter, wherever they went. But their LinkedIn hat was more their work hat. But now it's just one big mushy ball of goo. And sometimes we're wearing our LinkedIn hat. Sometimes we're wearing our Instagram hat. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Our expectations as a consumer, whether it's business products or personal products, have now all morphed into one. We expect instant service. We expect that a rep or somebody is there to answer our question whenever we're there, whenever we ask it. That's just become the norm now. We expect to be able to do business online. We expect we expect our transactions to be able to happen online. So from a whole digital perspective, and we're also being even quicker to jump ship if we don't like something, or if we get on a website and we have, and we're looking at it, it's like, are these people able to help me? Like, I'm looking for this and I can't tell, I'm gone. And what used to be, let's say 7 to 10 seconds is now like 3 to 5 seconds before they're gone. So everything needs, to your point, has to be clear. You need to know who you help. You need to know how you help. You need to know where they are. You need to know what messages resonate with them. And most importantly, they need to know you as a human being, right? You're Nancy. And we know each other because we're on LinkedIn. I don't think if it was I don't think I ever would have crossed paths with you on LinkedIn, even though I've seen your company all the time. Like, I know your company very well. So I just think it's incredible, the whole shift and what it's done to open up that opportunity to learn and to engage and really meet people that you otherwise never, I mean, even scheduling a coffee with somebody that lives half an hour away could take a 3-week of calendar triaging. But how awesome is it that you're in Utah and I'm here and we can jump on a Zoom conference and shoot shit. Right?
Right. And I think that what the pandemic has changed a lot. So it's created a usage of LinkedIn that was probably evolved into next level. And then also the fact that I'm working from our vacation place rather than from my usual home office, just as a change in like getting out of your head and just getting some fresh air and just you get a little bit in a rut when you sit in front of your computer and you can't interact with customers as much. And I try and once a week go out and still make a call where customers will still want to meet and it's feasible and I don't have to get on a plane, and if it makes sense, I still have been making some calls, and I really value those. That really to me means that that they want to see me and that they have an interest in having that meeting. And it just also gets me back into practice. Like, this is the way, things work. And it helps me rather than sit behind the desk for 5 months. That would have been crazy. The other thing that I did is I had some favorite things I used to do, which was I used to go to, for my relaxation, I'd go to yoga class. And so when the pandemic happened, I really, did not like to enjoy doing my yoga at home by myself. And so I was waiting for it to be over so that I could go back to my, usual studio, my usual routines. And so that wasn't happening. So last couple weeks ago, I ordered a Peloton.
Oh,
and I online classes, and boy, those Pelotons done really well. So they have these long delays in delivery, and they've been an online platform that has a big, huge following, but a lot of new people are jumping on to them because of this, whole pandemic, and not returning to gyms because it's not that safe, even when they're opened, right? And one of the things that I found that they do really well, so I've started taking the classes. Their instructors are really good.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the reasons why I ended up choosing them rather than one of the other, lesser expensive biking or yoga apps, is because they had superior instructors that were more motivating, and that's really what I was ending up paying for.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I think that companies that learn how to engage using, people who are extremely engaging and have credibility are going to be more successful. That pivot is going to be a mix, and not everybody or not every company is particularly good at engaging, a forum in an online format. It's kind of boring, right? You're just talking to them, just, about product. And like I said, I've been sitting through a lot of them, and I zone out, and I'm like, okay, pay attention. What is 40 GSM, like pay this, even when it's important stuff that you're supposed to know, right? So could you imagine if a customer is just like going, well, no, next,
Exactly. So you're enjoying your Peloton. It's funny because when you were saying yoga, what I've heard some people saying recently is they'll go to a park with their yoga mats, they will social distance, and then they will put on a Zoom or something, and they will follow the class together. So it's like a class with a leader, but it could be from anywhere in the world at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing it to just be together.
Right.
For yoga, I guess yoga's a pretty, unless you're doing hot yoga, which you wouldn't really be doing outside. It's not like you're going to be sweating a lot, and you're bringing your own mat. So from a, worrying about spreading of the virus, again, if you're keeping your 6 feet apart, it's if you can do that, that's awesome. So again, we're learning to adapt.
Yeah. But what you're looking at is there's a lot of online offerings, and some of them are vastly superior to others.
Yes.
I was just using that as an example when I was going through like all the different offerings and apps, and the way that they present, just basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
They're vastly different. And a lot of it depended on the personality of the person and how they came across that was leading the class. And I find that there's like the difference between an A-list, movie star versus, like me getting in front of a group of people saying, reading some lines.
Sure.
But
again, that's anything else. It goes back to knowing who you help. If you're helping people who are looking for the best of the best, who are willing to pay a little bit more for that experience, then that would be you. But there are some people who just want the cheap of the cheap. So there's no way. But if Peloton was trying to talk to those people, they would completely fail. If those people landed on Peloton's site, they would know instantaneously, oh, I'm in the wrong place, right? Like, I'm looking for Motel 6 and I just wound up at the Hyatt Regency. Like, oh, no, sorry, I'm in the wrong place. But you know that the second you walk through the doors, you know that. And that's what it should be like when you land on the homepage of a website. You should be in their foyer and you should have a pretty good idea of, yeah, I'm in the right place. There's a few doors that I'd like to look behind. They're really interesting to me, right? There's at least 3 or 4. These I don't care so much about, but yeah, I want to see what's behind this door and that door. So that's how websites, in my opinion, and the entire customer journey needs to be, right? Based on what doors did they decide they wanted to look behind will help better determine which types of follow-up communications to send to them, right? And there's so many companies I speak to that somebody gets on their website, they land somewhere, they peek behind the door, and then they click on something because they want to learn something more, and all of a sudden they're getting a call, like within 24 hours, or they're being asked to book a demo. Like they've just peeked behind the door, and the first they're being asked to do is book a demo. So I'm like, whoa, I'm just deciding if I want to swipe left or right? You're already talking about marriage and kids. Somewhere there's got to be an in-between. And that's where I find most companies today fall flat, is that in-between. It's like they can present that great face that will make people, I don't even know if you're supposed to swipe left or right. I don't even know what means what. How sad is that, right? Swipe in the right direction. I think that's swipe right. And right, like, okay, yes, I know how to attract you. And I also know just as quickly how to turn you off, because I asked about that, how many kids you want on the first date. Right? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I do agree that that finding that website and finding that right balance is important. For my thinking is, that's an overall strategy, is that we could all definitely do that better, and Xeikon is no different. Absolutely. The challenge that I've seen, and I'm new to the whole organization relatively. I joined Xeikon January 2020. So, all the changes. One of the things that I find is more of a unique challenge is that there is more of a lack of awareness of the brand, so that we don't get a lot of people that really should be even visiting the website to get there. So our problem does always reside with, we could probably do a better job with people when they do come to the website, that they get the information that they need, and that they can do a lot of their own self-selection, and that they get content that is helpful for them and that helps them understand if they would like to be contacted, and that enough content is there to make that self-determination for them. I think that more so, though, there are a lot of customers that are used to going to the bigger brands, and the OEMs are more established, maybe, or bigger presence and footprint, and they didn't arrive to the website, and they would have been a really good match. So, and that's one of the things that trade shows did, right, for the company. And without the trade shows, of gaining some of that same market awareness to that niche of customers is the part that we're trying to replace, I think. So next year, being smaller too, we have smaller budgets. Next year, there's going to be a lot of trade shows, but I don't think we're going to attract the same numbers for those dollar amounts. And so we still need a kind of a balance, which is traditional online, not like broadcast TV advertisement, but definitely, webinars, or I think they're doing the Inkjet Summit, kind of pivoting that online. We'll try the Printing United is probably doing the same for this year. I haven't heard the details of that, but we'll need to attract the right people using sort of this mass approach as well.
Yeah, and there's lots of other ways. I mean, to me, it sounds like the biggest opportunity you have right now is to get people to go to your website, because that seems to be where that's lacking. So there are multitude of ways that you could drive traffic to your website beyond trade shows and events, using LinkedIn, for example, using optimizing keywords. That goes back to knowing who you help and how you help. Is it optimized for the right keywords? Is it tagged properly? Are you using the most compelling content on your site? Little tweaks that you can make that will help improve your rankings. Using targeted AdWords campaigns, for example, using retargeting campaigns, social selling, direct mail, all the different tools that are in our toolkit. But given the trade shows, not demise, but shift, again, look at your overall budget and see, okay, we have X to spend. What's going to give us our quickest bang for our buck? What's our quickest time to money right now? And how can we replicate that frequently, and then replicate it till it's almost self-sustaining, and go after the next quickest time to money? So that's ways that you can do really targeted campaigns to very niche groups without needing to sort of steer the entire Titanic. The way I like to put it is, you don't need to steer the entire Titanic. You can just launch a dinghy. And if it gets you where it needs to go, then, if it gets you where you need to go, then you launch the next dinghy. And you launch a few of them. And some of them are going to go off course, and they're whatever. Okay, we lost a dinghy or two, but the ship's intact. Then eventually you launch enough dinghies, and those dinghies will help steer the rest of the ship. So there are opportunities without, again, take what you've done and look at it and say, okay, what can we do better? What do we really need to focus on now is figuring out our quickest time to money. What does that look like? So if you can figure that out, then you can start building those little strategies and launching those dinghies. If you took that approach, how could it impact your 2021 revenue projections?
No, I like that idea, and that's very appropriate to, being a smaller ship anyways, is to have the dinghy, not the luxury yacht, and
you just have fewer dinghies. You have a smaller ship to steer, so you may not need as many dinghies. You may only need 3. You may only need 3 and not 20. Yeah. So there's ways you can do that, and of course I'm here to help however I can. That's what I do.
And I think that, Joanne, that there's more of a place and a need for influencers and also advisors right now than probably ever before. And I think that one of the areas that I've been toying with is the thought that we take advice, and we also combine in using not only Joanne as an advisor, but also to help us rethink of, our target and expanding the type of customers we're communicating with that we think have a really good match. Xeikon's been around for 30 some years, kind of changing a little bit over time, but not significantly. So I think that there's still a niche for the product, and in some cases, maybe even more of a niche because it's a unique toner-based product. It's not quite that inkjet product, but I think that COVID kind of shook up the whole marketplace. And the whole, like the projections that you saw, like, 2024 is going to look like this.
Yeah.
And the transition shift to different products. I think that there's, we're going to have a longer opportunity for the new product that just came out, which is a toner-based product, and it's not an inkjet product. And there was, when it came out, there was sort of like a, the big transition that we were starting to see in towards inkjet, and that whole shift for speed and for the TCO and for cost and all that. And I think that with COVID, there's probably going to be a little bit longer lifespan for a very high-speed toner-based product. So there are some, there's opportunities, and there's, at the same time, there is definitely negative repercussions and things that we're all dealing with. And so I try and, I get into both, but I try and then bring myself to stay focused on that. As a small company, the even small opportunities are extremely meaningful. And that's probably like with many printers too, right? You don't need the opportunities of the whole United States or, for us, the whole print market. You just need opportunities in a few niche targeted applications, and leverage that advantage.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay focused.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So we're just about to wrap up. I want to thank you. This has been awesome. I want to talk to you more. I want to shoot the shit with you more.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we met on LinkedIn.
Yeah, because sometimes we see each other on those bigger formats, and so now I know a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think it was awesome. Awesome. And say hi to Greg.
I will. I mentioned to him to talk to you.
And I'm gonna follow up with you on some other stuff.
Okay.
Have an awesome day. And definitely love you. Have a great weekend. Hugs. Mwah. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.